Hey there, this is Chris Buckholz, and I'm here to talk to you about the college job application process. Interested in a college teaching position, particularly one that's tenure track. This is some good information for you that I didn't have when I started applying. And I'm just going to warn you up front that the college teaching job application process is probably the longest and most mysterious and most frustrating that you will ever go through. There is nothing to compare to it. Information is scant and sometimes not forthcoming at all. And it usually takes about 6 months, maybe longer, from the time a position is advertised to the time that position is filled. So here's some information that I didn't have when I started this process that hopefully will be helpful to you. Jobs are usually advertised in the fall. Peak time for jobs to be advertised would be October and November. You want to make sure you get your application materials in by the deadline and do a really thorough, nice, neat job on your cover letter and your CV. If you need examples of those, just email me at cbuckholz@unm.edu, and I'm happy to send you my stuff, and you can take a look at it. And I don't have time to go into all that here. So you're going to apply for the job by the deadline, and if you're lucky, you'll make the first cut, and you'll hear from them within about 2 weeks. Could be a little longer. I have waited almost 3 months to hear back from institutions in the past, but generally it's within 2 weeks. And they will ask you for perhaps further materials like videos of you teaching, recordings of you playing, references, letters of reference from people. These are some of the things they might ask for during the first weeding out process. And of course, you want to do a good job with those, get those to them in a timely fashion. There is no set format as to what they require the first time around or what they will require the second time around. And then within generally 2 weeks of that, there will be some other contact from them if they are interested in some further interview, like a Skype interview, Zoom interview, or a live interview. So generally things happen in 2-week increments if they are interested. If they're not, you're not going to hear anything from them at all. And oftentimes shooting them an email or giving them a phone call will produce nothing and no response from them whatsoever. Why this is, I don't know. Generally they have a lot of applications, and sometimes it's just overwhelming for them to handle it on top of their teaching load and doing this huge committee work of being on a search committee. If you are invited for an audition or a live interview, there will be several things that happen. You will have all your expenses paid for basically by the university, which is really nice. You will talk to the committee, perhaps several times. You will have one-on-one time with each of the committee members over a meal or in other scheduled time. You will play some kind of short recital. Usually it's about 30 to 45 minutes. You will teach a master class. You will meet with the chair of the department one-on-one and the dean of the college one-on-one. So these are some of the things that will happen, and usually these interviews take place over 2 to 3 days. Obviously, you want to do a good job. You don't want to come across as contentious, pompous, full of yourself, or otherwise someone who would not be a good colleague. But you need to also be fair with representing yourself. As somebody who plays both classical and jazz, I always represented that, and sometimes that made people very upset, believe it or not, that I played jazz and I was representing myself as someone who could do both. It didn't matter how well I played classical. If I had even a whiff of jazz in my background, that was not good for them, and you have to ask, well, why would they interview you? But realize that there are lots of competing factions on committees. You have no idea what really they're looking for. Sometimes they don't know what they're looking for. The recital, one tip for that is make sure that the music that you choose for your recital, and fortunately you do have control over that, but make sure that the music that you choose for that recital is easy to put together with piano. That means do not try to play the Hindemith Sonata on a college teaching interview. Unless there's somebody on the piano faculty that you know is willing to play it and has played it before, it's going to take a long time for you to put that together, and you really only have one rehearsal. Practice interviewing in front of a camera. There are lots of websites available that will help you with interviewing and answering questions. Try not to be too long-winded in your answers, but answer the question honestly and thoroughly. Once you've undergone the interview and you've flown home, depending on if they have other people that they're interviewing after you, generally you'll hear very quickly after the last person is interviewed as if you're going to be hired. If you're not going to be hired, you won't hear anything. And again, I've gone through the trouble of interviewing for these jobs, and occasionally they won't give you any information at all. You'll just find out third hand that you didn't get the job. And that can be crushing because it's a lot of work to put together these materials. It's a lot of work to interview. It's a lot of work to put together the recital and do a good job. It's a stressful process. But if that's what you want to do is teach college, it's ultimately one that you have to become good at and master in order to get a job. So those are my tips. Again, feel free to email me at cbuckholz@unm.edu if you have any questions or you want to see examples of cover letters or CVs or need other advice. And I wish you the very best in your job search.